me share my screen. Okay, so I hope you can see very clearly the presentation. So looking at the presentation, it starts with the word stress. Okay, so this will be our topic for today. It's about stress. So you already know the word stress, but the things or the things behind the word stress are still not aware. Okay, you are not aware of the things under that. Okay, pero pag sinabi nating stress, the one thing that comes into our mind, into your mind, is a problem. Okay, so something na nagpapaproblema sa inyo. So that's stress. Okay, but here, not only for the problems, we will be also looking for the positive side of stress. Okay po? So I hope you can participate in this discussion. Okay? So, yan. So let me go on with the slide. Okay? So there are actually words, class, associated with the word stress. Okay? So, umiikot dyan yung word na pressure, sadness, depression, okay, emotion, pain, anxiety. So, there are many words that can be associated to the word stress. Okay, pero yung stress, dito tayo mag-focus kasi ito yung pinaka-main topic natin. It's about stress. Okay po? So, yan. So, let's continue. Okay, so what is a stress? Okay, so pag sinabi natin class na stress, hindi siya yung problem. Okay, hindi siya yung that is not the external factor of your problem. So that is your response or the response of your body, okay, and mind to unpleasant or challenging events in life. Okay, so that's how you respond to the problems. So these problems can be classified as stressors. So pag sinabi natin class na stressors, these are the unpleasant or challenging events or situations that come into your life. Okay po? So yan, pag sinabing stress, it depends upon the person. Okay? Hindi siya depende dun sa problem. It's the person because you as a person will be the one who responds to a particular problem or stressors. Okay? Ano ba yung mga stressors na alam nyo? You can also you can send me in a chat kung ano yung mga stress or nakakapag-stress sa inyo. So you can also message, but I can give you the common stressors for a student like you. Number one, syempre, pag madaming assignment, numerous assignment, or family stress. Okay, so madami. There are many kind of stress in varying degree. It can be high level stress or it can be low level stress din. Okay po? So yan. So tandaan po ang stressors. Pag sinabing stressors, these are the problems, situations or events that come into your life. Pero pag sinabi nating stress class, this is how you respond or how your body and mind respond to these stressors. Okay po? So I hope you get what do we mean by stress. Okay, so if you are going to compare one another having our stress, for example, your brother is a grade 10 student and you as a grade 7 student, when you are given the same problem, for example, mathematical problem, okay, mathematical problem. So same problem will be given to your grade 10 brother and you, grade 7 student. So you will have more stress. You will respond even more to the problem because you are just grade 7. Unlike with your grade 10 grade 10 brother, because um, he knows better than you in solving math problem because of his experience in schooling. Okay pa? So yan, so it depends upon the person, it depends upon age, it depends upon race. Okay, so religion, views, perception, beliefs, etc. Okay, how you respond to a particular problem. Okay, so that is a stress. Okay, so next. So there are kinds of stress, as I said. Okay, so it can be a negative stress, whether you respond negatively to a particular problem or stressor, or it can be a positive stress, okay, so that can motivate you doing or solving a particular problem. So yung positive class, these are the eustress, or this is the eustress, okay? So since it's a positive one, so your mood or how you respond to a particular problem is also a positive. For example, you are excited, okay, about solving the problem or stressor. You are happy then, despite of the problem that you have. You are contented of what you have, okay? So these are the eustress, okay? So next, for the distress, these are the negative ones. We have, you become worried, okay, about stressor. You become afraid. Okay, you become ticked off, okay, or you might be angry as then, okay? So, it can be positive, eustress, or it can be negative, distress. So, it depends upon your body. It depends on your capability, how are you going to respond to distress. Okay? So, yan. Okay, so these are the common stressor or the usual one. Hindi tayo restricted dito sa apat na to, pero these are the usual one that adolescent like you faces. Okay? So yung mga common stressor natin, stressor for the family. So I know a lot of you here in this class, madaming problem sa family. Okay? So mga stress sa problem sa pamilya, okay? So another thing sa school, okay, nahihirapan sa mga task and assignments sa school, nahihirapan mag-understand ng lesson, especially sa math, for example. So yan yung mga common stressor. Then we have also class community. Okay, so for example, in your community, for example, physical stress like binabaha pag bumabagyo, okay, so maingay, so walang katahimikan, so mga chismosang kapitbahay, so yan yung mga community stress for adolescents. So another, we have peers, di ba? So like peer pressure, so yung kabarkada mo, inaaya kang gumawa ng mga mali, like smoking, like drinking, okay? So, peer pressure. So, wala kang friends, okay? So, gusto mong sumama sa friends pero hindi ka friend. Ayaw nila maging friend, okay? So yan. So, these are the common stressor, okay? So, let's give examples to each one of these stressor, okay? So, yan. Okay, so let's start first with the family, okay? So I know a lot of you here experiences any one of these problem, okay? Number one, we have parent separation or annulment, okay? So it's very common, especially to the Filipinos because yon, naghihiwalay after na manganak, for example, or pag may problem sa money, so naghihiwalay. So next, remarriage of parent. Okay, so that's another problem. Nagkakaroon ka dito ng stepsister, stepmother. Okay, so yung mga step na yan. Okay? So next, we have illness in any member of the family. For example, your dad nagkaroon ng sakit, inoperahan, so hindi nakapagtrabaho. So that can be also a source of stress for a particular student. Okay? So next, common to sa bahay, arguments of parents. So pag hindi nagkakasundo yung mag-asawa, especially financial, emotional issues like that. Okay? So next, losing job. So it's always connected to any kind of these problems. Okay? Especially when the father, who is the foundation of the family, nawala ng trabaho. So that's a big problem for the family then. Okay? So always affected dyan yung always affected is the sons and daughters. Okay? So the most serious one, we have death of any of the family member. Okay? So pag namatay, especially either mother or father, or either one of your siblings. So that's a very, very stressful thing. Okay, so yan. So next, early pregnancy. Yung kapatid mo, hindi pa nga tapos mag-aral, nakapag-asawa na. So that's one also serious condition regarding a family stress. Okay, so yan. So that's a common or the usual stressors that you can find in a family. Okay? So I hope despite you are having this kind of stressors, make sure that you always have the eustress. Okay? So be positive. Always look for a positive outcome afterwards. Okay? So next, with the family stress, we have here, stress about school or the school stressors, especially when you move from new school. For example, you move from public to private, or either way, private to public. So masyado ka makukulture shock ka. Okay? So yun yung tinatawag nilang culture shock. So that's one stressor for a particular student like you. Okay, for another one, failing a grade. So yan, so that's one stressor. Kapag bumagsak ka, so sa isang subject na paborito mo pa man din, so that's one of the stressors. Next, fear of teachers. So I know meron kayong mga kinakatakutang teachers ngayon man or in your previous schooling years. So meron kayong kinakatakutan. That's one of the stressors then. Okay? So too much work, exams, homework, project, and even the participation in class activities or school activities is another source of school stressors. Okay? So next, the worst case scenario, being suspended in school because of something that you did wrong. Okay? So that's those are just examples, but these are not limited to school stressors. The examples I gave you. Okay? So yeah. So next thing, okay, we have peers. Okay? So whenever you were invited to drink alcohol, which you know bad, okay, smoking, illegal drugs, you call this class as peer pressure. Inaaya ka, sama ka na sa amin because ito yung ginagawa ng mga binata, ganyan. So peer pressure. So make sure that you avoid this kind of thing. Okay? Especially kung hindi siya magdudulot ng maganda sa sarili mo. Okay? So next, we have relationship breakup. Since you are now adolescents, you always involve yourself into falling in love. Okay? Whenever something for example, nag-break kayo ng girlfriend or boyfriend. Okay? So that's another cause of stressor. Next, beginning to date, since you are just a beginner, okay, so madaming stresses na dadating sa buhay nyo. Pero wag na muna kayo niyan, grade 7 pa rin naman kayo. Okay? Next, the very worst one, being bullied for something na kung ano yung meron ka. Okay? For example, binubully ka kasi hindi ka katangkaran, maitim ka, kulot ka. Okay, physical. Okay, more on physical. So that's one causes of your stress. Okay, in peers or among peers. Next, wanting to belong to a group. Okay, gusto mong sumama sa grupo ng mga ganyan. For example, sa basketball, pero hindi ka naman marunong or magaling mag-basketball, kaya hindi ka nila sinasama. So that's one stress din. Okay, so yan. So for peers. So these are the usual or common ones. Okay? So next, peer for the community. So examples of this, moving to a new community. For example, you move from an urban community to a rural community. So there's a lot of adjustment that you're going to make. Okay? So next, frequent noise from neighborhood. Masyadong maingay, mga chismosa, kapitbahay, magdamag nagvi-video. Okay, so that's one community stress. Next, uncollected garbage. So, halimbawa, walang garbage collector sa barangay nyo, or yung kapitbahay nyo may babuyan and nangangamoy. So, those are stressors in your community. Also for crowd transportation. Okay, so very common yan class sa mga urbanized area like Manila. Okay, so yan, traffic. Okay, so these are the common body reactions to stress. Okay, so it can be categorized into four: physical, emotional, behavioral, and mental. Okay, so pag physical, more on your physical reaction. For example, sumasakit yung ulo mo, headache, so throbbing heart, tiredness, vague aches or pains, excessive sweating, frequent colds and flu. So yun, nagkakasakit ka na because of your stress. Okay? For emotional, so yan, you become irritable. Okay, more gloomy, depressed, drained, no enthusiasm, so cynical, loss of confidence, demotivated instead of motivated, job dissatisfaction. Okay, so or you're not very interested in what you're doing. Okay, so for mental, so syempre indecision and muddled thinking, loss of concentration and worrying. Okay, so less sensitive. Okay, so persistent negative thoughts. So these are just common ones. So I just summarize this in this part. Okay, so behavioral. Okay, so you become unsociable. Hindi ka nakikisama sa friends mo because yan. So you are stressed. Okay, so restlessness, loss of appetite or overeating, so disturbed sleep, talking work more, talking or taking work home more, so hindi mo na nagagawa ng maayos, so low productivity, okay, wala ka ng time management. So these are the common body reaction your common body reaction to stress. Okay, so if you are experiencing any kind of this one, so I know meron nagpapastress sa inyo. Okay, so yan. Okay, so how to solve or how to cope with stress or anxiety. So number one, so this is one thing I present to you, pero hindi siya limited to this one, okay? So there are other sources like in your book, so iba naman siya. So pero this can help. Okay, number one, have a goal. Okay, so dapat meron kang goal na etong work na to matapos mo siya, something like that. Okay, number two, okay, so this is the 80-20 rule. So ask open-ended questions that get others talking 80% of the time. Okay, so magtanong ka ng at least 20%, then 80% your yung kausap mo magkikwento sa iyo. So have some friend na pwedeng mo makausap. Okay? So next, be helpful. Okay? Even though you have problems or you're stressed, make sure to help, because giving is very powerful. Okay? So it can boost your emotions stability. Okay? So yan. So showing your willingness to contribute, look for opportunities to offer help. Okay? So ride with the waves. So yan, kung hindi mo kaya, wag mong sasabayan. Okay? So dun ka lang sa kaya mo. Okay? So accept your anxiety and let it be while still remaining present or engaged. Okay? So next, body language. Be mindful of nonverbal communication and don't take others personally. Okay? So don't be serious about your concern about your friend, for example. Okay? So in your book, you can also find different ways to cope with your problem. So wait lang. Okay, so yan. So pasensya na, may kinausap lang akong teacher. Okay, so yan. So there are other ways to cope with stress, like exercise and healthy diet. Okay, so be optimistic. So you always think for positive one. Whenever you have problems, make sure, class, that you look for the reason why you are experiencing this problem. You look for the positive reason. Okay? So keep your mind active and learn new things. Okay, so yan. So this is hard for you, but it can help you then out. Okay? So be sociable. Make sure that you have at least 1 or 2 friends na pwede mong makausap every time na naboboring ka or something na i-stress ka. Okay? So yan. So make another thing, very important, take time out from stressful condition. Okay? So kapag stress ka na, so wag mong pilitin yung sarili mo. So make sure that you relax first, make sure that you rest, okay? Para at least hindi ka ma-stress lalo. Okay? So yan. That's one way of coping your stress. Okay, so the very worst, which is another topic, the very worst stressor na na-experience natin in our family is death and dying of our family member or any loved one. Okay? So, pag sinabi natin death, so it's a situation that is not within person's control. Kasi hindi naman natin nakokontrol yung pagkamatay ng isang ng family member natin. It can happen anytime. Okay, so na hindi natin ine-expect. So each person reacts differently. So depende 'yon to such situation and has their own way of managing grief or yung pagdadalamhati. Okay? So depende. Merong person na very showy when it comes to emotional feelings. Meron namang person na tinatago nila yung nararamdaman nila. Okay? So, yan. Okay, so hence, dealing with grief differs from person to person. It depends upon personality. Okay, so some may take shorter period while longer for others. So, it depends. So yan. Merong matagal maka-move on, merong madali lang maka-move on. Okay? So, what is grief? So, grief is an intense emotion from loss. Intense emotion from loss, disaster, or misfortune. So, there are 2 terms used to describe the intensity of grief for the death of loved one. Okay, so, before pala I show you the 2 types of grief, so I'm going to give you a video clip. So, hindi ko pala siya sa inyo naibigay. So, wait lang. Nakikita niyo yung video? Can you see, class?
Opo.
Okay, so yan. So, I'm going to play this
Opo.
one.
Are you currently feeling overwhelmed, anxious, and depressed from overworking, having to meet tight deadlines, and having to pay bills? Well, you're experiencing stress.
So what exactly is stress?
Stress, also known as the silent killer, can come from any source. It can be emotional, physical, or even job-related. It's pretty much our body's way of responding to any kind of demand or threat. Some stress can actually be a good thing, like can actually help us stay focused. However, if you're constantly under stress for long periods of time, you may be experiencing chronic stress, which has many negative effects on the body. When you're under mental, physical, or emotional stress, your sympathetic nervous system sends a signal to your hypothalamus, which is located in the brain. This then releases a hormone known as a cortisol-releasing hormone, also referred to as a CRH. CRH then activates the pituitary gland to release another hormone known as the adrenocorticotropic hormone, also known as the ACTH. ACTH then stimulates the adrenal cortex to release cortisol. Cortisol is actually the major hormone released in response to prolonged periods of stress. It is known to increase blood sugar levels and increase blood pressure. At the same time, neurons in the hypothalamus signal the medulla to release epinephrine and norepinephrine. So, then what exactly are the long-term effects of stress? Well, now is our chance to dive in and learn about them. Stress has many effects on the body. Now let's see how stress affects the heart, the lungs, the digestive tract, the skin, and the liver. Let's first start off with the heart. The long-term effects of stress on the heart is that it can actually lead to an increase in heart rate and an increase in blood pressure. Stress also causes an increase in blood cholesterol levels, which can build up on the walls, leading to blood clots, thus restricting blood flow to the heart. Not to mention, chronic stress has actually been linked to heart disease, heart attacks, and heart failure. According to a review conducted in 2012, chronic stress from work and in private life is associated with a 40 to 50% increase in the occurrence of coronary heart disease. Now let's observe the effects on the lungs. The respiratory system responds to stress by speeding up breathing. When the body starts rapidly breathing, hyperventilation, which is abnormal rapid breathing, may occur, causing panic attacks in some people. And so too much stress can thus trigger an asthma attack. And so according to the Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America, asthma causes almost 2 million emergency room visits each year. In the long run, stress can also lead to other chronic lung diseases, such as chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, also known as COPD. This is a type of obstructive lung disease which is characterized by long-term poor airflow. Now let's observe the effects of stress on the digestive tract. If your life is stressful, it can be difficult to lead a healthy lifestyle. Evidence from longitudinal studies actually suggests that chronic life stress may be linked to overeating. When you're under high levels of stress, the stress hormone cortisol becomes stimulated. So instead of being physically active to release stress, you may respond by overeating and eating unhealthy energy-dense foods, which can lead to weight gain and obesity. According to Statistics Canada, about 20.2% Canadians 18 and older are reported to be obese. Now let's see what the effects of stress has on the skin. Constant stress can increase your risk to getting skin diseases such as eczema or psoriasis. These are marked by red, itchy, and scaly patches. And so high levels of stress, especially if they are prolonged, can cause these conditions to flare up. According to a global report conducted by the World Health Organization on psoriasis, at least 100 million people worldwide have psoriasis, making it a serious global problem. Now let's learn about the effects of stress on the liver. Under stress, your stress hormones kick in, raising your blood sugar levels, and normally, unused blood sugar is reabsorbed by the body. However, if you're under chronic stress, your body may not be able to keep up with all the extra glucose, therefore increasing the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Chronic stress is bad for your overall health, so if you're experiencing ongoing stress, you owe it to yourself to find healthier ways to relax, de-stress, and to seek help. For more information on the effects of stress, don't forget
Okay, so yan. So these are this video presents the medical condition associated to your to a stress. Okay, so this gives you information of the following medical conditions that might happen when you are under stress. Okay po? So yan. So it's about to So yan, so this is an example of a low grief death. So let me repeat again the definition: a death caused by prolonged sickness or anticipated death, showing little emotion after due to experience grief prior to death. Okay, so let me show you this example of a low grief death. Okay, so eto. Can you see the YouTube slide? So here.
Meron ako kayong O positive? Naku, salamat naman ho sa Diyos. Sige, pupunta na po ako dyan. Meron ng dugo si Alot doon. Pupuntahan ko muna.
Ako na ang kukuha ng dugo. Dito ka na lang.
Ako na. Gusto ko makasiguradong meron talagang dugo.
Huwag na po ako ikuha ng dugo. Pagod na po ako. Ang sakit na. Gusto ko na magpahinga, Mama. Sumayaan niyo na po ako magpahinga.
Anak, ano ka ba? Gagaling ka. Huwag ka nagsasalita ng ganyan.
Babalik agad ang mama, ha? Kukunin ko lang yung kailangan mong duguan, ha? Pag nasabi na sa'yo yung dugong yun, mabuti na ulit yung pakiramdam mo. Hintayin mo lang ako, ha?
May sinulat po ako sa phone ko, Ma. Basahin niyo na lang po yun kapag wala na po ako. Sorry po. Hindi ko na po kaya, Ma.
Anak, kaya mo to. Lumaban ka, anak. Lumaban ka para sa amin. Babalik ako. Hintayin mo ako. Babalik ako.
Anak. Huwag ka nagsasalita.
Adrian, nakahanap na ako ng dugo. Ano, tinubuhan na ba siya ng mga doktor, ha? Ano sabi ng doktor?
Comatose na yung anak natin. Huwag na natin mahirap po pa yung anak natin.
Hindi ko susukuan yung anak natin. Hindi ko susukuan yung anak natin. Hindi ko susukuan yung anak!
Baka naman niya sa namin itong pagmamahal mo.
Anak. Diba? Nag-promise tayo sa isa't isa na wala tayong iwanan. Gusto ko matupad lahat ng nasa bucket list mo. Pero kung gusto mo na pumunta sa langit, sige lang, anak. Maiintindihan ng mama. Basta ako kahit anong mangyari, hindi kita iiwan. Hindi kita iiwan hanggang sa huli-huli. Salamat, napakabuti mong anak sa amin. Walang makakapalit ng pwesto mo sa puso. Mahal na mahal ka ng mama.
Give her all the strength she needs. Oh Lord, I pray that she won't lose her faith, no, not a minute. Lord, I pray that you will never, ever take forever.
Okay, so yan. So that's an example of a low grief death. Okay? So if you look at that particular video, so nakakaano siya, nakakaiyak nga talaga siya. Pero on the case of the mother, so at first hindi niya matanggap, then nung malala na yung kondisyon ng anak niya, so tinanggap niya din na yun, mamamatay talaga yung anak niya. So yan. So hindi siya it shows, hindi naman siya lethal, pero hindi siya it shows not much emotion as compared to the high grief death. So yan. So ito yung next na ipipresent ko sa inyo, which is the high grief death. So if you are going to compare that with the low grief death, eto, yung high grief death, unexpected. Kasi yung letter A na low grief death, tapos dun sa example na binigay ko sa inyo. So, anticipated mo na may possibility mamatay talaga yung loved ones mo kasi because of sickness, okay? So, yan. So, for high grief death, unexpected, hindi mo inaakalang mamamatay talaga, okay? So, where grieving process may be more emotional and longer because no preparation for death was done, such as death due to an accident. Yung mga unexpected aksidenteng pagkamatay. Okay? So, I have here another video example of a high grief death. So, wait lang class. Okay, so let's watch this example. Wait lang, naglo-load lang kasi. Ulitin natin at
Si Mama! Si Mama! Bakit ba?
Ano nga, pre? Nakikiramay ako, Joseph. Hinahabol na ng mga tawakan ko ngayon si Dado. Gusto ko lang sanang itanong sa'yo kung anong naalala mo sa nangyari ngayong gabi.
Bigla na lang silang pumasok. May baril. Kagulo. Gusto niya kunin sila, Calvin.
Olivia! Calvin!
Patay na lahat na haharang sa kanya.
Patayin mo muna ako bago sila makita.
Si Mama. Hawak ko si Mama. Bitawan ko siya. Kasalanan ko kung bakit siya namatay.
Sensya ka na. Sige, Sige, saka na lang ulit kita tatanungin, ha? Saka na lang muna. Romeo. Ano nga dito sa mga ito?
Joseph! Joseph! Huwag! Sayangin ang pagmamahal ng mama mo, Joseph! Huwag ka po! Mahal na mahal ka ng mama mo. Mahal na mahal. Kasalanan ko, Lo. Kasalanan ko. Kasalanan ko. Kasalanan ko. Mahal ka ng mama mo. Nawala ka. Ayaw niyang ganitong gagawin mo sa sarili mo.
Wala ka na.
Kasi mahal ka ng mama mo.
Rainbow will there in the palm of your hand. Don't ever let it go. When the stars won't shine anymore, I'll be there. The rainbow don't ever let it go. Won't shine
Ayaw ng mama mo, saktan mo sa Ayaw!
I'll be there.
Maraming salamat po sa mga nanonood ng The Good Son for
Okay, so yan. So that's an example of high grief death. Okay, so based from the video, you can see the emotion nung actor once na namatayan sila ng loved one. Okay, so mas mataas yung emotion, okay, in that case because it's a high grief death. Okay, so unexpected yung death nung loved one. So medyo nakakaiyak talaga yung example. Okay po. So moving on with that. So in grief we have 5 stages to undergo. So number 1, so we have denial. Okay, so pag sinabing denial, okay, so discuss natin yan. Denial, next anger, next bargaining, next depression, next acceptance. Okay, so let's talk about each one. Okay, so for denial, so this is the stage where there is a healthy response to stressful situation. Okay? So, deny mo na hindi ka nasaktan. Okay? So, it's a healthy response. Okay? That hindi mo pinapakita mong okay ka lang. So, that's denial stage of grief. Okay? So, next, we have anger. So, after denial, so you become angry. Okay? So, angry, resentful, and hostile. Okay, so anger may be directed at loved ones and expressed through shouting, complaining, and bitterness. So, nagalit ka, magagalitan ka because of the situation. Okay, so that's anger. Okay, so next, bargaining. This is the stage typically occurs throughout the dying process. Okay, you bargain to prolong the life of your loved one. So you are praying na sana hindi mo na mamatay. Okay, so that's bargaining. Nagmamakaawa ka that your loved one na magkaroon pa ng extended life. Okay po? So that's bargaining. So next, depression. So after that, so hindi naman natin naiwasan na matay talaga yung loved ones. So this is the depressive stage. So feels as though it will last forever. So masyadong mataas yung emotional activity mo. So it is important to understand that this depression is not a sign of mental illness. So yan, parang wala ka na sa sarili mo, wala ka nang pakialam because you are very much depressed. Okay? So next, acceptance. So this is the stage about accepting the reality na namatay na talaga yung loved ones. That our loved ones is physically gone and recognizing that this is new reality. So this is the permanent reality. Okay? So acceptance may take long for some people, but it may take short for some people then. Okay? So depende na 'yon. Okay? So it's the hard part of the grief stage where you accept na wala na talaga yung loved ones mo. Okay po? So yan, so those are the 5 stages of grief. I hope you learned something about our topic for today. Thank you for listening then.